that. Well, let me just let you know. Okay, so before we get started, we have a couple students on the conference call, as you've heard, from our Junior Academy program. The Junior Academy program is a program at the New York Academy of Sciences that's designed to inspire and prepare students for the 21st century. And we do this through science research experiences, mentoring, and online innovation challenges. So every year we have students from all around the world. Typically about 5,000 to 6,000 students apply per year from over 100 different countries. We accept about 500, and they get access to this community, this global STEM network, through which they connect and find one another and work on projects that are tied to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So for today, we have two projects. One project is focused on biodiversity, so thinking about the dynamic between humans and wildlife and how we can better promote biodiversity on the planet. And the second project is around the future of buildings and cities, designing more sustainable ways for us to live as a global community in the future. Any questions?
And Tony, the students work during the academic year then and just finished their work this summer?
Yes. So the challenges are typically 60 days. This is a completely out of school extracurricular activity. Students work on this on their own time after school. So let's hear from the human wildlife team. Who from the team has the presentation on their computer? Anyone?
I think none of us are actually able to share the screen properly. So is there a different way we could do it? Or
I think
would you be
Robin
able
might
to share?
have it because she's speaking.
And the other option is to send us a link if it's an online slideshow. That's the other option.
You know, I have it too. So I can pull it up on my computer, and you guys just let me know how you want me to advance the slides.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Raja, do you want to share your screen with me? Or can I just do it?
You can share your screen. There should be a button at the center middle, a green rectangle with an arrow pointing up that says share screen.
Got it.
Yeah, we can see Humans for Wildlife.
Guys, is this it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Do you want to quickly introduce yourselves, talk about the challenge, and then walk through?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I will start. So hi, everyone. We're Team Humans for Wildlife. And in the past March, we worked on the Human Wildlife Conflict Challenge. So I'm Leela. Stuti and Robin are also on the call. And we had two other teammates who unfortunately weren't able to make it today. So we were actually super interested in this challenge, mostly because while we as human beings are so focused on advancing and STEM and innovation, we often don't consider the detrimental effects that that has. And so the line between human and wildlife habitats have been blurred over the centuries. And though this relationship was originally meant to be symbiotic, it no longer is. So piece by piece, we've encroached onto their habitats. And so this has had so many detrimental effects. And so we often make decisions that can result in loss of wildlife habitat, overhunting, pollution, development, and other factors that contribute to conflicts between domesticated and wild species that share the same space. So the challenge centered around finding a non-lethal solution to this human-wildlife conflict. And yeah, could we go to the next slide?
The world around us runs on energy, and as we as a race improve, our fossil fuel resources decrease, simultaneously causing an increase in pollution. This causation highlights the fast-growing need for renewable energy sources, and solar power has been one of the most promising. In the last decade, solar power has experienced an average annual growth rate of 59%. Solar farms are popping up all over the world, and though they bring much needed environmental benefits, there are also drawbacks. We live in an ecosystem where we live in harmony with animals, plants, and other living creatures. And while our man made inventions are important to sustain the world we created, it is also necessary to create a balance, or else life on Earth as we know will fail to exist. Please look at the photo on the second slide. Is this a picture of a lake, pond, or a puddle? As you see, the answer is none of the above. This is actually a solar farm. But what is the significance of these solar panels? Despite the benefits of reduced toxic and carbon emissions, and serving as a perpetual energy resource, there is potential for negative environmental impacts resulting from utility-scale solar energy USSC development, such as causing avian mortality. Much of the problem seems to lie in the lake effect, in which birds and their insect prey can mistake a reflective solar facility for a water body, or spot water ponds at the site, then hone in on it. Could you please move to the next slide? The estimated annual USSC-related avian mortality is between 60,200 and 59,400 birds in the Southern California region, which is extrapolated to be between 37,800 and 138,600 birds for all USSC facilities across the United States that are either installed or under construction. Could you move to the next slide? For bird species like the Yuma clapper rail that are already endangered, the lake effect could be deathly. Experts have concluded that many of the Yuma clapper rails have been fatally burnt, broken, or otherwise fatally crippled by the solar panels due to the lake effect.
One of the most alarming things about this is that while we knew this was a problem, we did not really see a solution that was available. Robin, one of our fellow teammates, actually lives near a solar panel facility and brought this to our attention, following which we delved deeper into this. We researched about this. We found a total of 2 articles, one of which is from Robert C. Beeson from the University of Nebraska. We based our experiments on his research. He said that the hearing is second of most importance to vision. Can you please change the slide? Thank you. This was a hypothesis. By emitting a sound at a frequency that birds could hear, which is between 1 to 4 kilohertz, when the birds are near the solar panels, we could create an environment that deters human-wildlife conflict.
Okay, so we actually conducted 4 experiments. So the first was figuring out whether birds came into direct contact or close proximity to the solar panel. The second was figuring out whether birds are alerted by beeping sounds and the number of beeps that it actually takes for them to fly away from the ground. Now, for the first 3 experiments, it was actually conducted on the ground, and then the last one was conducted using a solar panel with the results and conclusions that we had gotten from the previous 2 experiments. So the third experiment in the third experiment, we figured out the frequency which was most effective and resulted in the most number of birds flying away. And the fourth was putting together all of the conclusions from the previous 3 experiments and seeing if our solution actually worked. Could we move to the next slide? Thank you. Okay, so in the first experiment, we figured out that the number of birds that flew within 5 meters of a solar panel, and on average, it was 1.33 birds in a span of 2 minutes. For the second experiment, we found out that 4 beeps that were emitted within 1-second intervals were the most effective. And on average, 3.33 birds flew away. The third experiment showed that 1 beep that was emitted for 10 continuous seconds at a frequency of 3 kilohertz was the most effective, and on average, 1.667 birds flew away. And so the fourth experiment, we actually pasted the pictures here. And so this is where we took the previous frequencies, the number of beeps, and we actually tested it out. And so the first two pictures, you can see the bird landing on the solar panel. And so that's before the beeping sound. And after the beeping sound is emitted, you can see them fly away. And we actually did this experiment over 20 times just to make sure that it did work and it wasn't a one-off thing.
By conducting experiments 1, 2, 3, and 4, we have reached a conclusion. This is our proposed solution. Place the infrared ray sensors in a chessboard pattern, every pi by 2, which is 1.57 meters, on the solar panels. Place the sensor 0.5 meters above the solar panels, like the diagram showed here. We further programmed the speakers to produce the beeping sounds 4 times with 1 second interval at 3 kilohertz. Because from experiments 2 and 3, we observed that the most number of birds flew away when 4 beeps were produced at 3 kilohertz. Could you please switch to the next slide? Thank you. So in this, the orange lines show the pi by 2 meters, and the purple line shows the distance from the solar panel to the sensors. Our solution prevents human-wildlife contact. In addition, our solution encourages the development of solar panels while keeping bird species, including the endangered species, such as the Yuma clapper rail, safe. Our novel solution is both sustainable and inexpensive.
Okay, so market impact. So we believe that including these devices to emit the frequency will help prevent collisions between the birds and solar panels. We believe that our solution will prevent avian injury and death due to this collision. But to truly understand the magnitude of what our solution could be, it's also important to understand the industry we're trying to change. So as of now, a solar PV system is now installed every 4 minutes. The US solar market grew 41% last year, and it's expected to reach $422 billion by 2022. The cost of solar panels have also declined by 80% since 2008. So that means the more affordable it becomes, the more commonplace solar panels will become, which is why it is so important to prevent this human-wildlife conflict.
Alert from calendar. MTG. WSUSO to develop Space Science Technology Technician
Robin?
Certificate Program.
Do you want to just do the first two?
Alright, so up to now, this wraps up our basic presentation for the STEM area, and this is just more of a reflection, I would call, or a personal experience section, but we believe that STEM and leadership they're both very important components of working as a team member in these junior challenges, and then those components are what makes teams successful, as I would call it. And I think STEM is quite important because during this challenge, I've not only learned more scientific facts and how to control experiments, but I also learned more about the bird species, the Yuma clapper rail, and how to use those scientific facts to control an experiment that provides results and maybe even enough results to create a novel solution. And I think leadership is also very important in these kind of junior academy challenges because with our mentor, we learned what it takes to become a leader in these kind of challenges and like what you need to do to make sure that all of the team members know what they're doing and know what they're working for, or like what kind of results we want to obtain from these experiments. And our mentor was able to provide great leadership to unite all of us together, although we're scattered all over the world.
Yeah, so about teamwork, as she said, we are all scattered all over the world. And so time zones were definitely a big part because I remember waking up at 4 a.m. sometimes just to finish a deliverable. But it was really cool how we were able to come together and actually complete the project. And I think we're all pretty proud of what we ended up with.
The mentorship the Junior Academy and the New York Academy of Sciences provided us was amazing, to say the least. Our mentor was Kimberly Marani, and she actually helped unite us as a team together. And she also gave us amazing advice on how we could obtain many more things.
Okay, cool. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
That was
you
great.
so much.
So, Raja, should we do some? Does anyone have any questions and answers? I mean, questions?
Sure. It looks like Anne has one too. Do you want to go first, Anne?
No, go ahead.
That was incredible. So creative. Awesome solution to that problem, which I had never even thought about. I was just sort of in the solar panels are good mindset. So thank you very much for opening my eyes to that. I had a question about your infrared sensors. How do they work? Do they sense just that one beam, kind of like the picture, or do they have a wider? How big is their field of view? I guess if that even makes sense for an infrared sensor.
So basically, the infrared sensors that are placed in the Chestnut Formation has lines that you can sight, so that if a bird actually just passes one of those lines, it's kind of like a 360 angle view, so that like if it passes it, then it senses the bird's motion, and then the speakers can emit the frequencies at the intervals.
Wow, cool, thanks.
So I have another question for any of you. This project reminds me a lot of a situation in the ocean with fishing nets and marine mammals. We've found out that you can put pingers along fishing nets, and some marine mammals will actually be deterred from the fishing nets, which reduces entanglement. So that's a similar sort of solution. And I was wondering if any of you had thought about other experiments that you might want to do in the future to see how effective this solution might be in the long term, or how effective the solution might be for other species. Do you have other ideas of other experiments?
Okay.
Go ahead.
We haven't really thought about that. I think one of the first things that we were asked a lot, especially with our poster presentation at the summit, was the fact that, because implementation of this isn't too hard, it's just the bigger issue is when there are these like huge solar farms, because while solar panels are popping up a lot of places, it makes more sense to target those bigger places, especially the Tesla factory, if I'm not wrong, that was in our presentation. And so that's definitely what we're looking at, but we hadn't considered looking at other species. Sorry, what did you say was used with the marine animals that deterred them?
It's just a little device that makes beeping sounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. We've not looked into it yet, but we definitely should, and I think we will after this.
Yeah, so just something that triggered my memory is that in the ocean, we find that a lot of times animals become habituated to the beeping sounds, and that it may be really effective right at the beginning, but over time, it's less effective, and for some species more than others. So I think a big company like Tesla would want to know how good their investment would be and how long that would be an effective solution for.
Yeah, that makes sense. That wasn't something that we'd considered, but yeah, habituation is a serious issue.
I have a question. This is a fascinating, ingenious project, and I think that the core of what you're doing is trying to optimize a strategy for getting the birds to go away. So you investigate, what's the most sensitive frequency, how many beeps, 4 or 5 beeps, and so on, and that would be very, very valuable to be able to tell Tesla and these guys, look, this is a cookbook for what you want to do. Just wanted to mention that to have valuable advice like that, it is really important to get good statistics. My feeling is that probably just that 2 minutes is not enough. You probably want to be out there collecting information for hours, so that you can say, okay, with high statistical confidence, let's say 3 kilohertz works better than 1 kilohertz. Or whatever, and it's not just an accidental random fluctuation, of small number of statistics. But I found it absolutely fascinating. You guys are very clever.
I wanted to echo Matt and the others, and Anne and Kale's comments. And yeah, this is very clever, and congratulations. I was also surprised to see the small numbers. I would encourage you to increase your sample sizes in the way that Matt was mentioning. The other thing that I was thinking about is birds tend to move more at certain times a day. I mean, during the sunrise and sunset hours, they're flying more. So sampling over 24 hours, I think it's going to be important. The second thing that I was thinking about is, yes, this is providing a negative stimulus to drive the birds away. But if I'm thinking about a bird that's been flying for miles and finally sights something that it needs,
to send an email. Do you have a few minutes?
Yeah.
So my younger daughter is
encouraging
joined a local cooperative robotics.
Okay.
And so there's something called the First Lego League. I don't know if you've heard of this robotics Lego League. So it's basically a nationwide tournament based. And so the teams that participate from everywhere, and then we go from local, regional.
Right.
So they give like one challenge every time, like this theme, and this time the theme is into orbit. So they provide, all the resources for all the Lego pieces to build the thing, and then they give the robot, they program it.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it's basically robotics, right?
Right.
So there's the robotics, like the engineering aspect that they follow, and then there's a problem list where they have to look into certain sort of like, if you're talking about doing robots and then sending astronauts into space and all that stuff, what are the social implications? What are the emotional? What is the sort of certain things? And so that problem they have to kind of be able to understand, do a presentation, share it with the community.
Right.
And I said, maybe you have some insight into something about space, about the issues of space.
Right. But so she has a model made of Legos. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So they get. I can send you.
Could you
some,
send me
yeah,
some?
I'll send you some
send
stuff.
me some
Yeah,
links,
I'll
and then
send you
I
their
can
links,
search
and you
there.
can. Yeah. So the model part where they're actually building. There are some parents who are engineers and they are helping.
Oh
with
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah, so they form the teams. The parents serve as coaches and guides and all that. But the problem aspect of understanding, space, which is the theme this time.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Said something that you can kind of evaluate, share with the community and so forth. So be able to discuss it with people. And learn a little bit more about what that problem is. Like sending people into space and so on.
Right.
So I will send you some information.
Yeah,
They just kind of started working. So August 1st, they got the problem,
So,
the challenge.
Okay.
So now
They
they
are in
ordered
the
a kit, they're just
building
building,
phase.
right, they're in the building phase, they're building the little missions.
Right.
So they built it with their Lego pieces and all that,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so because I think, you're,
I can get some
because,
ideas
so
from
they
my
actually
kids'
went
lab,
to
as you can see there.
yeah. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, so they went to the Chabot Space Center last Sunday. Some parents took them on a little field trip so they can understand a few aspects. I was thinking of if they should just do a tour of NASA Ames also. What do you think?
Yeah, that's perfect. That would be good.
And they are what,
we
about
coordinate with Lauren
9 to 11-year-olds.
with her schedule.
Yeah, I will
maybe
probably,
another student group
maybe I
would be
and some other
interested in
parents
presenting.
will coordinate a field trip
Very
there.
good. Very
But some insight from you also would be good.
Just send me the link.
All right, I will. Thank you
good.
so
All right.
much.
Take care. Good to see you.
Good to see you. All set for the semester?
Yes. No. No. Not at all.
Not yet. Just starting.
All right.
Oh, man. Well, I'm sorry, Laura, we didn't get a chance to fit you in this time, but I would love to have you back next time. I know we're, as you said, we're close to the end of the hour, so I will.
Good morning. How are you?
Just want to say good morning.
Yes.
I just got off my meeting. I'm not sure
choose the most popular one.
Here, you
That's
got
a
it.
good
May I
board.
have at least 15 minutes?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'll do that.
Sounds good.
Thank you all very much for joining, and I'll look forward to seeing as few as possible in a month and a half.
All right, Raja, thanks for hosting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all.
Thank you. Thanks, students. Great.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, great job.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.